travel tips. So, well, we already have the travel guide video, the itinerary video. Ways to eat cheaply in Japan. And today we're going to do a mix of tips. Useful tips for your trip to Japan. I'm Naka, this is Japatonic, and here are the travel tips. The issue of trash, for example, in Tokyo, in Japan in general, there are very few trash cans. Here in this park, there's one. But on the street, you'll often see trash cans with a round opening. These are only for plastic bottles, cans, or glass. You can't throw organic waste, paper, or things like that in the ones with a round opening. In those, yes, you can throw paper waste and things like that. But anyway, it's specified right here. Taxis, for example. Let's see. A lot of people want to use Uber. They're used to Uber. But the reality is that Uber isn't convenient in Japan because it's more expensive than a taxi. In fact, let me see. I always recommend using public transportation because in Japan it's very good. Plus, using public transportation is part of the experience. But let's say it's nighttime. Whatever. You're very tired, carrying a lot of things, you want to take a taxi, then take a taxi and not Uber, because Uber is more expensive, and besides, taxis will be more frequent. While you wait 5 or 10 minutes for your Uber, 5 taxis have already gone by. And in any case, there's the Go Taxi app within Japan, which is like Uber, that you can use in case you're in an area where there aren't many taxis running. Well, as many of you already know from my other videos, you need to get the Suica card for travel. Throughout the country, there are different types of travel cards with different names. For example, in Osaka, there's the Icoca, there's the Pasmo, but what about in Tokyo? Suica and Pasmo cards, available in Tokyo, are currently unavailable due to chip manufacturing issues. And there's the tourist one, which you can get at the airports. Now, there's another way, which is to have it in your phone's wallet. For example, on the iPhone, there's Suica, which is very easy when you go to the wallet app. Sorry, I only know this on iPhone. I assume Android has its own method too. In the wallet section, you just tap Add Travel Card and make an initial payment with your credit card to load a minimum balance. And that's it. You can top it up with your phone at train stations by placing your phone on the machine. And that's it. I've recommended this website before, but honestly, after hearing so many testimonials, I recommend it again. The website Klook, which is for getting tickets. You can get anything from SharePass to Disney tickets, Universal events, whatever you need. Personally, I've never needed to use it, but everyone has recommended it to me. Since it's approved by the Japan tourism offices, this website is safe and charges minimal commissions. Remember that tap water, the running water in Japan, is super drinkable, so you can drink water from anywhere. Don't worry, there's no problem at all. In fact, most restaurants serve water for free, and it's actually tap water. It's water they get for free because it's tap water. At most, maybe they've put it through a filter, but that's all. But don't worry, no matter what country you're from, Japanese tap water won't make you sick. If you lose your passport at some point, don't worry, it's very likely that you'll get it back. All you have to do is go to a koban, which is what I have behind me here, a small police station. Well, that's where you file a report. And most likely in less than a week, in 2 or 3 days, you'll get your passport back. But you do have to go pick up the passport. Therefore, if you lost your passport in another city, then it is a bit complicated. But everyone I know who has lost their passport has gotten it back. Something very important is that if you come with a JR pass, for example, you have to reserve the bullet trains as soon as possible. Because there are a lot of tourists who come with a JR pass and the bullet trains get full. Where do you reserve? At these machines. You can find them at all JR stations and they always have the bullet train symbol up here. These are the symbols for the Shinkansen bullet train. The little seat icon. The person sitting. On the machine that says Japan Rail Pass here, it says Japan Rail Pass, English, confirm. And, for example, here in the middle, it says Select Train. Now, for example, if there are 2 people, select 2, confirm, and see the Japan Rail Pass, which looks like this, which is a little paper with a QR code. You put the QR code in the machine, and there you enter your full passport number. The rest is very intuitive. It will ask you from where to where, at what time, on what date. And well, as long as you have more or less noted down the time and date you want to travel, from where to where. All right, you can book everything, but you can reserve as many seats as you want. And do that as soon as possible, because, I repeat, it gets full. The Osaka to Hiroshima route is usually the most crowded. Then, to load the Suisha, there are two ways. We have the regular machine where you simply insert the card. And there it shows how much we can load. It depends. The JR machine is the easiest since you just insert the card. On the subway one, you have to press the button that says Charge Pasmo Suiza. But, well, it also has English there. We have this type of machine that takes in the card. Or there's the other one, which is, I don't know, infrared, ultraviolet, I don't know what. You just tap the card. But if we have the Suica Mobile, then we just put the phone there and we can charge it. And it's the same thing. The JR Pass comes in 7, 14, and 21 days. Well, I don't recommend getting the 7-day one. Why? Because the JR Pass increased in price since October 2023, and the 7-day one costs 50,000 yen. Now, a round trip from Tokyo to Osaka or Kyoto, for example, would cost about 26,000 yen. Therefore, you would have to take a bullet train, a Shinkansen, for about 1 or 2 hours of travel every day and a half. I mean, it doesn't make sense. You have to do everything in a rush, so it doesn't make sense. Now, if it's a 14-day trip, planning a trip to Kanazawa, Hiroshima, Osaka, Kyoto, and adding a few more cities, then yes. The easiest way to find out how much it costs to travel from one place to another. Alright, open Google Maps, for example. You enter Osaka Shinosaka Station from Tokyo Station, and there you'll see the bullet train option. It will show the price, because Google Maps tells you the cost of the trip. There are stores like these from Uniqlo that offer tax-free service. Tax-free is really great, because most, well, not all, but many stores in Japan have this system where, just by showing your passport, just showing it, they check that you have a tourist visa. They give you a 10% discount equal to the added tax value. But it has to be the original passport. It can't be a photo of the passport. On the other hand, if possible, always try to carry your passport, because it's the only documentation you'll have. Valid. Your national identification or driver's license won't be useful. They're not valid in Japan. Always try to have your passport on hand if possible. And another thing, well, stores like Uniqlo, for example, are good, nice, and affordable clothing stores. You can even find them everywhere for those who like anime. It's a store that's everywhere. You don't need a specific one, just search Uniqlo on Google Maps to find one nearby. And they have a lot of $10 t-shirts that are collaborations with anime, while official anime t-shirts usually cost $40. But here, they have collaborations at a much cheaper price. And in Uniqlo stores in other countries, they cost twice as much, because it's a Japanese brand. And another thing is that stores like Uniqlo, or for example, Sushiro, they have something very special when it comes to payment methods. There are other stores that have it too. But the fact is that you check out and pay at a machine. Now, Japan is a country where cash is used a lot, and people use coins a lot, and there are people who don't know how to use coins. For example, if someone pays for something costing 110 yen with 1,000 yen, they receive 890 yen in change. If they pay 1,010 yen and get 900 back, it's simpler, fewer coins. Some people end up with many coins. Well, at Sushiro, which is a sushi place I highly recommend, it's good, nice, and cheap. Or Uniqlo, which is good, nice, and cheap for clothes. They pay the bill with coins, and they can use as many coins as they want. And that's an easy way to get rid of coins. Now, for example, at 7-Eleven you can also pay with coins. But the machines at 7-Eleven or supermarkets have a limit of 20 coins or bills of the same type. So, you won't be able to do that. And by the way, there's actually a Sushiro restaurant right there, which is great. I highly recommend it. How do you find a Sushiro location? It's always the same, just type the word Sushiro in Google Maps and a nearby one will pop up. Now, these bars, for example, here, which are called izakaya, are very easy to recognize. They are retro-style taverns. Yellow lights, little tables outside that look super casual, that look cheap. But actually, izakayas are very expensive, and it's not a tourist trap. It's just that the izakaya culture itself is expensive. They're places where they charge you a fee, which is usually a small plate of some snack, a little appetizer. That's already the table charge, which is usually 300 or 400 yen, about $2 or $3. After that, these are places to drink, so the atmosphere already makes it clear it's for drinking, right? You have drinks, and the drinks there aren't cheap. But sometimes you can find a place that says beer is 200 yen, less than $2, but everything else is super expensive. Those are places where they serve you lots of small dishes. It's all like a tapas bar. The dishes cost around 500 to 1,000 yen, and they don't fill you up. So, if you want to go for the experience, go after you've eaten, and just have a few drinks, nothing more. In any case, if you want to go to a cheap and good izakaya, go to a chain one. There's one called Torikazoku. It is very good, highly recommended. Search Torikazoku on Google Maps. That's all. The next tip is about a mistake that so many tourists make. In Japan, there are many dishes called donburi. Donburi is basically a bowl of rice, with rice at the bottom and protein on top. This one, for example, is made with fish, with tuna. Then there are ones with meat. There are all kinds. The thing is, many tourists just eat what's on top. Then, once they notice, only rice remains at the bottom. When we eat donburi, it's very important to know that you have to eat by digging, make vertical digs, and eat in a balanced way, right? Move forward with the rice and the protein, right? Leaving leftovers is fine, no problem. But Japan is a culture where rice is highly valued. No one is going to say anything to you, obviously, I repeat. No one is going to say anything to you for leaving leftovers or anything like that. But Japan has a kind of culture. Regarding rice consumption, it's said you should eat all the rice and not leave even a single grain behind. You should completely clean your plate. And that's a sign of a well-mannered person who knows how to appreciate good rice. He says that for kids, they're told the rice god will be sad if they don't eat all the rice. It's something they tell to the kids. The thing about using chopsticks, if you're not used to it, let's see, maybe on some website. You can likely get some rubber bands and a small plastic piece that attaches to chopsticks, letting you use them like tongs. Otherwise, if not, always carry a fork in your bag with a little case so it doesn't get dirty. And, well, make sure it's hygienic. Eat from there, but remember that most places where you eat with chopsticks don't have forks. I've mentioned before that the airport is the best place to exchange bills, since cash is widely used in Japan. If you want to exchange dollars or euros for yen, the airport is best, but if you haven't exchanged all your money, currency exchange offices are quite reliable, but not too long ago. A friend who visited told me he was nearly scammed. Because most currency exchange offices don't charge a commission. It turns out this happened to him in Shinjuku, where he visited a currency exchange office. They quickly do all the calculations on a calculator so he doesn't notice. They tell him what they'll give him, but he says no, something's wrong. The lady does it really fast and, no, it's wrong, and he kept insisting, but no, and he was doing the calculation on his phone. This is what you have to give. And then they told him, oh no, what happens is that we charge a commission, so if it's not at the airport. Just in case, check how much they exchanged the dollar for yen. The price will be displayed there. So do the calculation of how much you want to exchange with the calculator. Check if it gives you the same number. If not, they're charging you a hidden commission. And what about using credit cards and ATMs? Let's see, we have them in all the communities, 7-Eleven, Family Mart, Lawson. But sometimes it depends on the card, depends on who. Sometimes the automated teller machine isn't compatible and won't let you withdraw money. In that case, the safest thing is to go to a post office, which you can find on Google Maps as post office. And when you see the ATM with the green sign, it will be from JP Bank, which is the Japan Post Bank. And well, that's the most compatible automated teller machine of all. Now, in some family marts, the ATM machine is from the post office, so that's also valid. So you could say, in a way, that the post office or family mart have the most compatible ATMs. Then, the ones at Lawson and 7-Eleven, which you might visit more often, well, they're supposed to be quite compatible too. And once the post office machine works, something strange gets activated. And from then on, it might work at 7-Eleven too. Let's see, these are strange things that nobody really knows about, but, well, from experience, when guiding people, I've noticed that this has happened. By the way, speaking of guiding, well, I've mentioned it many times already. I'm a tour guide. You can send me an email at naka@japatonic.com or a private message to Naka Tegia Tours in Tokyo. On Facebook, please. On Facebook, or, if possible, Facebook or, the email. Not through the Japatonic fan page on Facebook or my Instagram, please. Alternatively, if someone wants to, for example. Because many times it has happened to me that people tell me they want to meet me, say hi, or something. Well, follow me on Instagram because on my Instagram profile I post the date of when the next meetup will be. Every now and then, I organize meetups, where we go to a bar at 4 in the afternoon, which is the time when it's emptiest. And anyone who wants to can come. There's no need to make a reservation. Whoever wants to come can come. If you can't make it, that's fine. And that's it. You can come. Everyone is welcome. By the time I recorded this video, I had already organized 2 gatherings. They went really well. We talked, got to know each other, and had drinks. I genuinely enjoy organizing these gatherings. If sharing a drink with me enhances the experience for you, and also, beyond everything else, people socialize there. Because everyone speaks Spanish, everyone is chatting, on vacation, people who live here. It's a good tip for the experience in Japan, I would say, because in the end you meet people. Well, about hotels. There's a scam that I was told about just yesterday at a gathering, and it involves a fraud. On Booking, it turns out that someone made a reservation on Booking for a hotel that had a pretty good price. Not super cheap, but not expensive either. Just reasonable, logical, nothing suspicious. And suddenly they get a private message within Booking from the hotel saying that unfortunately the payment couldn't be processed, asking them to please check their payment method at the following link. And of course the link said www.booking/ I don't know what. Here, I'm showing a screenshot of the message. And, of course, the moment he clicked, just when he clicked on the phone, his credit card got hacked. And well, he had to file a complaint through Booking, and they told him to first resolve the issue with the credit card. If the credit card company doesn't solve the problem, then he should contact Booking. Again, they said they would solve the problem. He was able to resolve it, but well, let's see. It's important for you to know that in Japan, they can even go that far. Well, I've already made videos about precautions you need to take as a tourist, especially regarding scams. On the other hand, speaking of hotels, if it starts to rain at any point, remember that almost all hotels have umbrellas, and they can lend you an umbrella. In case it rains that day, if you see the forecast or if it's already raining, so you don't have to buy umbrellas. Because, of course, in the end, you won't know what to do with them, unless it's a compact one. But anyway, if you're not interested in spending money on umbrellas, remember that hotels always have them. Look, we just passed by a family mart here, and here's JP Bank. So this is almost the same as going to the post office. So Family Mart, if you have one of these, it's going to be compatible. Now, speaking of convenience stores, Family Mart. The next tip is one that a lot of people who travel love to give this tip, but I don't really recommend it that much. But anyway, a lot of people say that supermarkets lower the price of prepared food after 7 in the evening. A lot of people love to give that tip. Let's see. I'm not one to recommend making that recommendation a lot. Many people confuse supermarkets with places like Family Mart, where prices stay the same. Hotels where people usually stay often lack nearby supermarkets. Since these are tourist, office, and shopping areas rather than residential, there's unlikely to be a nearby supermarket. Another thing, you can eat outside at a very good price. Japan. People think that Japan is an expensive country, but the reality is that it's much less expensive than people think. In fact, eating out can be much cheaper than in Latin American countries. For example, the cheap sushi places. When I've taken Mexicans on guided tours, the Mexicans are amazed by that place. Because the sushi is so cheap that they say, for this price, no, sorry, for that price not, for 4 times the price. They get half the quantity and quality. Then, places, for example, fast food chains. A ramen costs $7. Okay, obviously, if you go to a barbecue place, then yes, it's going to be a bit more expensive, but let's see. While part of the experience is sometimes trying food made from the supermarket and those things, that's fine. I'm not against it. Supermarket food is tasty, but for once, it's okay. One of the nicest memories you'll have from a trip to Japan, especially if you go to visit many temples and all that, because, well, Japan is a country where you visit a lot of temples, right? To see the architecture, the landscapes, because those go along with the temples. It's something called Goshuincho. Let's see. The Goshuincho is a notebook that you can buy at temples or in tourist areas. It's very traditional. It's a notebook that opens up completely, and you go to the temples and pay between 3 to 500 yen, though most now charge 500 yen. You ask for Goshuin. Just say Goshuin, and they'll understand. You hand over the notebook open to the page where you want them to write, and they'll do the inscription for you. It will have a signature and temple stamps, and it's like collecting stamps and signatures from temples. Now, something very important about the Goshuin is that you shouldn't put stamps from tourist spots like train stations and all that, because I've seen a lot of people do that. Please don't do that because it's an aberration. Don't bring an ordinary notebook for them to do the Goshuin. Also, since I've seen others do it. And of course, some temples may refuse to do it that way because they already see it as a sign of disrespect. It's like they know it's not intentional, but they're like, no, I'm not going to sign this for you now. Some write it directly in your booklet, while others give you a loose paper so you can stick it. Me, as a personal preference, when it's a separate paper, I say no, thank you. And I never miss one. But I don't like having to stick a separate sheet in my notebook, so I always ask for it to be done directly on my notebook page. Look, for example, check out these rice bowls here. On top, you just see meat, but underneath there's rice. And if you only eat the protein, just the meat on top, you're going to have a lot of rice left over. And look at the prices, 730 yen, or 880. In dollars, that's $5, just a little over $5. That's why there are so many options for eating. Plentiful, delicious, and affordable, and wherever you eat, the food will be good. Afterwards. This is one of the fun tips. Let's check out the Loop app, which is for renting bicycles and electric scooters. It's pretty good because I tried it out recently. And on the map, it shows you all the stations. The ones in gray mean there aren't any available, and the ones in green are the ones that do have some availability. And you pick it up with a QR code, and they're good. They're bicycles with electric assistance, so if there's a bit of an incline, you don't have to put in much effort. I've never tried this scooter yet, but the good thing is that these are bicycles any tourist can use. You register on the website, you have to upload your passport, a payment method, and take a kind of driving test with basic traffic rules. And if you pass, everything's fine. If you fail, you can try again. You'll be able to rent this and take a short ride around the city. Now, I don't really recommend it either, because tourists can also get into accidents for not knowing the traffic laws. Remember, people drive on the other side here. Therefore, by instinct, when you get to an intersection, you'll look to the left first when actually you should be looking to the right first. And that's important if you're going to be in more or less open places like parks, and that's good. Otherwise, well, don't blame me if you have an accident. And now, in case someone has an accident, what to do? Well, let's see. The easiest thing you could do is what a group of guys I guided did. They called me on the phone. Hey, come here, we had an accident. What do we do? I told them. Get in a taxi, tell the taxi driver, leg broken. Hospital, done. Those 3 words, leg broken hospital, and he took them to a hospital. The taxi driver knows which hospital to take them to. Where? For a broken leg and, well, for an emergency, it's fine. Now, if you don't have travel insurance and all that, the medical expense can be a bit high. But let's see. No, it's not like it's going to ruin your whole trip, but it could be quite an expense. Spicy. Here, for example, we see people lining up, but since it's 4 in the afternoon, there aren't many because lunchtime is already over. But if you come at noon, you know how many people are lining up at this ramen place? And you might say, well, then it must be really good. No, sir. Look, there's something that happens a lot with places to eat where there's a long line. Well, there are places that have really good reviews. I'm not saying the place is bad. I've never eaten there, but I'm not saying it's bad. It must be really tasty. But that ramen it's not going to be better than the ramen right here next door, which is going to be empty because what happens? That ramen, I think what was special about it was that it was duck ramen. But here, look, there's a ramen place and it's completely empty. I see the picture and it makes me want it. Now, the one over there, the one from before, doesn't appeal to me as much because it's not really my taste, because it's a soup that's a bit more clear. It must be good, but the flavor must be a bit more subtle. One time I went to a Michelin ramen place. I didn't like it. No. I didn't like the one I tried. The other day I met Oscar Meza from the channel La Capitale, and he told me he tried a ramen because it was recommended to him. He waited in line for 90 minutes. I asked, how was it? He said, it didn't blow me away. I replied, you know what happens? If you wait in line for an hour and a half for a ramen, the only thing you're going to do is raise your expectations. And he says no. And besides, it wasn't that clear, I told him. It was a kind of transparent ramen. Yeah, and of course, the one you like is the thick one. The Mexican likes thick ramen, well, the same one I like. And the thing is, the ramen places with longer lines usually have the ones with more subtle flavors that older people, women, and young people all like so much, it's made more for any kind of palate. But good ramen it's heavy, it's greasy. Good ramen is more vulgar. What I want to say is, don't go to a place just because of reviews. Don't go to a place with a long line. Go to a place that's empty. Because in Japan, any place you go to eat, the food is going to be amazing. Any place you go. You'd have to be really unlucky for the food to be bad. That being said, here, I'm going to leave you a playlist with all the videos that are currently on the channel, which serve as travel tips for tourism. Okay, greetings to you, your family, your pet, and your jerk neighbor. Bye.